Do you know where he's here?
Yeah. He translates in the US.
Yep. Yep. In the U.S. Can you hear me okay on this?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. So let's see. Let's. I want to start. What ages are we talking about here? How old are you guys? How old are you?
14.
13, 14? Okay, cool. So when I when I was in that age group, I always thought I would be something like an artist or a musician. I loved music, and I think art and music actually helped me develop some of the things I'm going to show you today. But there's actually a good deal of creativity that comes when you that's necessary when you want to take really good technical skills and create and invent a new product. So let me start off by telling you a little bit about me, and I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. Okay, here we go. Screen share. Okay, now you can see that, right?
Yeah.
Let's make it bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. I began a degree in electrical engineering at Utah State University in 2010. Now, I got married in 2011, and we had our first son in 2012. And that's a picture of us in the hospital where he was born. And he was born premature, so that's why he's got like all that stuff. He's got those wires on his head, and that had us concerned. My wife didn't sleep very well, and you'll understand this when you have your own kids. But this was it wasn't very fun to see him like that, and consequently, my wife had a really hard time sleeping at night because she was worried he would stop breathing. Right, because in the about 1 in every 1,000 kids is going to stop breathing during the night. As a baby, they'll just stop breathing and they'll die. And she was afraid that that would happen to him. So she was constantly awake, checking on him. And literally about a month after this, I started prototyping. Okay, so I was a senior in electrical engineering, and I started prototyping. So this is me taking apart a webcam. On the right, you see these sort of obscure drawings. A lot of math. I do a lot of math. So when you're doing algebra and you're learning about complex or imaginary numbers are real. We use them all the time. So that's what you're seeing kind of on that board there. And let's see. So I began prototyping in 2013. I produced my first monitor, and I wish I was looking for a picture just before this to show it to you. It was a webcam with a Raspberry Pi computer board. Have you guys seen the Raspberry Pi computer board?
Yes.
Yeah. So I used the first generation Raspberry Pi to build it. So that was what I did, and then we created Smart Beat. So in 2015, I founded a company, and we were developing the first baby monitor, which is designed to use a video camera to measure a baby's breathing and heart rate. which is pretty cool, right? You probably didn't think you could do that with a camera, but you can. If you actually take a camera and you point it at yourself, you can see your heart rate. You can see your heart beating. And it doesn't matter if it's in the dark or if it's in the daytime, and just using a very ordinary camera. I'm going to exit out of these slides here really quick because I want to. These are investor slides, so I don't need to show you everything in here. So let's see. So let me show you really quick before I got onto. Well, let me show you a video of the. I'm going to see if I can get this to work. I want to show you the actual monitor in action. This was taken like last week of my daughter. Which, okay, so we started with one. We started with one boy, and now we're about to have baby number 4. So family grew quite a bit while I've been working on this. Okay, I'm still having technical. Hang on here, 1 second.
It's all right.
I gotta. Okay, you guys can see that screen. All right. I have to have 2 monitors here to see what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, you can see all that. Good.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to this. Okay. All right. So please work. It works. All right. All right. So I'll skip it ahead a little bit here. So here's the actual breaths taking place. Now it's hard to see, but that's my daughter. She's a very messy sleeper, right? She's got all this stuff in her crib, and you can't tell from that little video that she's breathing. It's there's no way to see it with your eyes, but with a camera you can see things that your eyes can't, like breathing and heart rate. Okay. And so this is our app. We have an Android and an iOS app that you could download. And with one of our cameras, you can actually see these sorts of things. And the purpose is to actually alarm a parent if breathing stops. If for whatever reason they hold their breath too long and they stop breathing. And reasons for that are still unknown. People don't know today why babies will randomly stop breathing. But if that happens, we will alarm the parents, and they can go and rescue their child. And we hope this will save hundreds of deaths per year, because there's about 4,000 deaths in the U.S. every year, and no parent thinks it's going to happen to them because it's only 1 in 1,000. But when it happens to you, it is absolutely devastating. So that's what we're aimed to avoid and solve. So that's the Smart Beat baby monitor. Now, I told you how art and music influenced all this, and I don't think there's anything particularly artistic about what we've built. I mean, the app looks nice, but I'm not a designer. But I'm going to say that music, I think, helped me to be more creative, because when I think about engineering, I'll take it off screen share here. Oops. How do I take off the screen share? Okay, there we go. So when I think about engineering, term for an engineer is an inventor. Okay, engineers are inventors. Okay, so if you want to build something, it could be an app, it could be something like a camera, or it could be a robot. I love robotics. I think robotics are cool. or you wanted to design a new, anything that needs to be built, it takes a certain amount of creativity. And I don't think that comes from learning mathematics. I don't think mathematics is particularly creative, but art and music are. And so I think it's really important that even in, I'm assuming that you're doing this class is something technical, somewhat engineering oriented. Maybe the school is, but I want you to think about whenever you come across a problem that you find annoying and you think, oh, you know what? I think I could fix that. Then you can ask yourself the question, I wonder how many other people have found this same problem. Because when I was building my monitor, I was actually just doing it for my wife because I wanted her to sleep better. I thought this would be a great project. This is something I could learn a lot about, and I did. And now it's a company, and we're going to be licensing our technology to some very recognized baby brands out there, and it's great. So right now, that monitor you saw there is being tested amongst 100 or so parents in the United States, and will be released to market probably early next year. So that's a little bit about me, what I've been doing, yeah, I think we're open for questions. We could take this any direction that you want.
Yes, I think we can start with some of the questions. Students? No? No, he's waiting. No, he's waiting. He's right here. So, questions. Who wants to start? Okay, and then you can come closer.
Hi, how are you? Hello.
Hi.
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 You said you had 4 kids, right?
Right.
4 kids. Cool.
Well,
Well, the next. Why did you study that, like electrical engineer?
electrical engineering? Good question. Why did I study electrical engineering? Okay. Muy bien pregunta. So, I'm a little biased. I'll be honest. I'm a little biased. I know that Mr. Barasa here is very, very handy, very technically savvy. So he'll understand what I mean. I think electrical engineers or technicians can build anything. A mechanical engineer, they can put together. They can design fixtures and mechanical things, which I don't find particularly challenging. And then software guys are always dealing with programs and apps, but never anything physical. So I thought electrical engineering was great because it was software. You could write code, but you're also dealing with hard sciences. In electrical engineering, that's electromagnetics, current, voltage, those sorts of things, along with and even things like motors if you're doing control. So I feel like electrical engineering is the most difficult type of engineering out there. And again, this is me, I'm biased, but I think if I wanted to, I could go learn what a mechanical engineer does, or I could learn what a software developer needs to know. But I don't think it comes. I think it's harder to come to electrical engineering because it's such a difficult topic. So I chose it because I felt like if I could do electrical engineering, I could do anything.
Cool. Next question.
Next question.
How old are you?
How old am I? I am 28.
28.
Do I look younger or do I look older?
Younger.
Yeah, I have a baby face. Mr. Barasa knows that.
It's true, it's true.
And the next question. Do you like your invention?
Yes, I'm very passionate about it. I'll say this: it's if you love to build things, you would probably hate running your own company. And the reason I say that is because I've in fact, here's another prototype camera, right? I've been working with this one today. So I love working with people and with these cameras to make it the best product it can be. It really hurts me when I see people not enjoying it, and so that's kind of, I'm a perfectionist. I have a perfectionist complex. And I think anybody who wants to invent something has to have that kind of passion for whatever they're inventing, or else you're never going to enjoy it. But running your own business, I have to figure out how to sell these now. And usually that has nothing to do with the product itself. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Usually you're all about sales and getting people to buy it, and it really doesn't matter if the product is good or not. So I've had a hard time doing that with my own business. I know that wasn't your question, but I love my invention. I don't love running a company, but I do want to sell. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next person.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, what inspired you to do that type of invention?
Okay, so my inspiration came from my wife, actually. It wasn't even my son. My wife was worried. So the question was, what inspired me to do this? My wife was worried my son would stop breathing. So I began researching. Actually, I was not qualified in the beginning to do this. I was, like I said, I was just starting my senior year of electrical engineering. And this takes someone with a master's or a PhD to work on some of these things. So I thought. But I started to work on it anyway. I read papers from well-known universities like MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and I studied what was the current state of the art for this type of work. And I didn't understand it all. I went to my professor. He explained some things, and he was very willing to work with me. So I had a mentor who also pushed me on. He was kind of inspiring because I really don't think I could have done it without a good mentor. That was the I guess that was a source of inspiration for me.
Okay, I have another question. Here, look, like, purpose it is. Purpose. What is the purpose of your company?
Okay, so our company's purpose is to improve quality of life using computer vision techniques to monitor people's health. So that's our purpose. So we've got something for heart rate and breathing. Babies is first, and then we're actually going to move into like elderly care. For elderly people who have a hard time walking and need to be monitored. This extends itself very well to that. So that's my that's our purpose, and that's, you know, we're still, you know, I think this company still has 5 to 7 years of life in it, and to which point I don't know where it's going to go after that, what it's going to become. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
After now.
Pay attention to the questions so we don't have to.
Hi.
Do you consider do you consider yourself as an inventor?
Oh, I'm sorry, it cut out. What did you say?
Do you consider yourself as an inventor?
Yes. Yes, I do. Engineering is inventing. I mean, it's you make a lot of dinero, right? As an engineer, but engineers are inventors. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Mucho dinero, no mucho tiempo.
Hi. My question is, with this experience, what skills and interpersonal, what have you learned?
Okay, so the first part was through this experience, what?
What
Can you
has
what have I learned with interpersonal relationships?
yeah, and some skills you have learned?
Oh, skills. Okay, yes, yes. Yes. So I've learned how to determine, first off, if your idea is a good one. Ironically, when I started my own business, I did not know if baby monitors was a good idea. In fact, I started to do, we were working with treadmill manufacturers, trying to see if we could put cameras on their treadmills. We were thinking, we had this really cool game that I should give you the link to. There's an online game we made that we thought would be kind of cool, using cameras to track your head, inventing. And I learned very quickly how to determine if an idea is a good one or a bad one, and to quickly eliminate bad ideas. So that's a very valuable skill, because a lot of entrepreneurs spend their time working on an idea that they think is good, but no one else thinks is a good idea, and thus it consequently fails because they never bothered to take the time to figure out, to validate if their idea was good. So that was that was a major skill I learned, and I had good mentors for that. I've started to learn how to deal with employees. It's I guess the only challenge I would say is I've learned to be better at talking and writing, and being descriptive in how I talk to my employees, because I have some really good employees. They're actually, most of them are students. I employ students. I don't have enough money to pay some really expensive guys, so I hire students to do work. Not much older than you. They're in college, and they're good people. They can get distracted. They can sometimes miss the idea of what job I need them to get done. And so, I'm very I'm forgiving in that sense, but I have two rules. I say you can make mistakes. You can make mistakes. Mistakes are just fine in a company. Everyone makes mistakes. Everything you're going to do, you're going to try to do, you're going to fail at least once. And that's just how life is. But the second rule is don't repeat mistakes. If you repeat mistakes, you don't learn from mistakes. You don't want to learn with people who don't learn from their mistakes. You don't want to work with those sort of people. So that's the second rule. You can make mistakes. Second rule is you can't be repeating mistakes. And it's a pretty simple rule, pretty simple grounds for knowing if you're out of the line and if you're no longer can work at this company. So those are the things I've learned, I guess.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Daniela,
Okay. Daniela, then Alejandro. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
question for you.
Yes.
What was your big problem in bringing this to life?
Okay, biggest problem. You know, I mean, we still don't have all the technical things worked out, but I don't think, I really don't think technology is the biggest problem. I think if you throw enough money and time at something, you can figure it out. It really has been. My biggest problem has literally been just morale. I've had some very discouraging times. Back in May, I was out of money, and I was in China, and I was lost. I was by myself. I kid you not. That was probably the lowest point in the company. I was literally ready to give the whole thing up because I could not find the manufacturer I wanted, and I was out of money, and I had lost my suitcase, and I couldn't speak Chinese, and I didn't even have a visa. I mean, I was literally illegally in China, and it was very hard. There's things like that I think every company has to go through when you're in startup phase. You have to run out of money at least once. Just to teach you the value of having money to begin with. And there's supposed to be kind of some trial periods where, you know, if you're pushed up against the wall, you know, is that where you give up or do you keep going? I knew it was a good idea, so I knew I had to keep going. Yeah, that was. So it really, I don't think it came down to technology, even though that's my thing. That's my jive. I love tech. I think it really has to come with the small things that make business so hard, like finding employees, finding money, finding the partnerships and the deals and people. It's all about who you know, not what you know. So I came fresh out of college, didn't really have professional experience outside of what I had done in college. So that was that was probably the most challenging thing for me, is all the things with startup, not the technology. I can do this. The company aspect is hard.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good question.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay. My question is, why did you choose this work and not another, like a doctor or a secret medical, like that?
Okay. So why did I choose to start my own business?
Mhm.
Okay. Really good question. I asked myself that a lot. It's risky, and so let me tell you all the things that kept me up at night. I could run out of money, and this would all be over. I mean, I have to support 4 kids now, so I have to make a living. You know, you're completely responsible for everything. You can't rely on someone else to do it for you. You have to rely on yourself. And it's a lot of work. This is not a 40-hour-a-week job for me, or even a 60-hour-a-week job. This is somewhere around 70 or 80 hours a week. So so those are the things that really are not attractive about being an entrepreneur in general. Even if you don't invent something, even if you're just like selling purses or something, this is what everyone has to go through in a business. But why I chose this, because I got to choose what I wanted to do. I was the master of my destiny. I got to do what I really felt passionate about. So that was the first reason. Second reason is because I already invented something, and I figured if I didn't do something about it, this would just become another a master's thesis, which it was. This was my master's thesis. So I wanted to do something with the technology, and then of course, number 3, the fastest way to generate personal wealth is to run your own business. That is the fastest way. It's faster than real estate. It's faster than stock markets. It is the fastest way to generate wealth. And it's not that I want to be a rich person. It's just that I want to do some good things with my life. And I felt like this was something almost divine, something that I was meant to do. And I've certainly felt guided along the way in a kind of in a supernatural sort of way. But I really feel like this is a good time for me, right? You guys are young. If I was you during your summers, I don't know if you have summers off during school, but I'd be learning how to program apps. I mean, you could do anything you want during your time off in school, and if you know how to program apps, I mean, you can. I know a lot of employers right now looking for some good app developers. So I mean, I got to develop skills that were helpful anyway. Even if the company didn't work out, I was going to learn a lot more than just sitting behind someone else's desk and getting paid whatever they wanted to pay me and doing whatever they wanted me to do. So I felt like I was a lot more free and at liberty to pursue what I wanted to do.
Thanks.
Now it may be that most of you guys don't know what you want to do. I certainly didn't at 13, 14. And that's okay. That's okay. I think there comes a time for everyone when they go, you know what, I want to do that. I found something I really like. And that's the time to go for it. So it doesn't have to be today. You want to be an inventor today. You might already know that, but it's just different for everyone.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
Please mention where it is sold or the name of the device.
Hello.
Hi.
Will this product will be affordable for the general public?
Yes, it will. It will be probably early next year. It'll be sold. I don't know when it will go to Mexico, but we'll have to just translate things first. But yeah, it'll be sold in North America and Europe. It's too early to say, but North America for sure next year.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hey,
Hi.
talking about your project, make it.
Okay, the video skipped. They cut out just a second. Can you repeat that for me?
You never thought you wouldn't make it. Talking about the project.
Oh, I'm not sure I understand. I never said I'll make it.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I'm not understanding the question.
Have you thought that you will never make it?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have. Pointing back to the story in May, I was devastated going on the plane because I just lost a huge grant. I had asked for $200,000 in a grant, and I was going to get a very big grant, and then I got turned down because I forgot to file my business license 2 weeks earlier. And then I went to China to find a manufacturer, and I ran out of money. And I honestly was just, and my visa had expired, so I was just kind of in a really bad spot. So yeah, there's times. I mean, even now, like I just told you all the great stuff. Like, hey, we've got 4 major baby product makers who want to use our things. That doesn't mean we're going to make it. I mean, by no stretch. That doesn't mean we're gonna be making millions of dollars and we're gonna be like as big as Facebook or something like that. That's just not the case. Startups have to operate on a fine line between great success and total utter failure. Okay, there's a fine line, and the reason that is because if you don't have that failure there, that looming failure, that doesn't encourage you to be creative. You might think that the lack of constraints makes you more creative. It's actually the opposite. It is because you are constrained with time or money that causes you to be creative, not because you don't have those things. So if a different company that had a lot of money tried to do what I was doing, I don't think they could do it. I think they'd have a really hard time because they are not forced to be creative. I have to be creative or else I fail. So that's really, I think, the magic the magic combination that when you stir that together makes for something innovative. So that's just something I've learned. But yes, I've frequently, all the time, I think I might not make it.
I have another question. What advice would you give a children or age?
Yeah, what advice would I give an engineering student?
Children.
Children, okay. Well, one of them is in your time off, if you're bored, I'm not saying you shouldn't do fun things like play a little football or something, but I would say you gotta, I mean, just learn. There is so much stuff I wish now I could learn. I mean, programming, you gotta know programming. I think it's ridiculous for any engineering, someone aspiring to do engineering to think they don't have to program. That's just simply not true. You have to learn how to code, to write good programs. Learn something like Python or C, or even some web kinds of technologies, JavaScript. You got to learn programming, and there's no easier time to do it than now. There's so much free material on programming. So I would say if you've got something, and generally speaking, there's so many things you can pick. There's so many problems that can be solved with software these days. Pick a problem or pick something fun that you want to do. Maybe you want to make a little game. Pick something, pick some pet project, and just work on it. Also, I would say another piece of advice is find some great mentors. Engineers are inherently geeky, and they love to talk about what they build. I do. I love talking about what I build. And so I'd say find someone like Mr. Barasa or anyone that has just good technical skill, and just watch what they do. There's so much you can learn from watching what experienced engineers do. So get a good mentor, and then just pick something that you want to solve, just some simple problem or a game, and learn some programming to help you solve that problem. I think programming is such a big skill. You guys would be so well off. Really, your careers would be so well off if you know how to program. I'm not kidding. There's a lack of programming out there, and you're in a good place to learn it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you have any other projects in mind?
Yeah, actually, let's just pull out my phone. I write them down. Great question. These have all been great questions, by the way. I wouldn't single out any single question as being not as good. They're all very good questions. Let me see. I have a lot of notes here, so yeah. I mean, I've got. Okay. Yeah, I do. I have some apps I want to build, and if you want to build them, I think you should. So Pokemon Go was a really big thing, right? Has anyone played Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
You guys played that?
If you play Pokemon.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty cool, right? Before Pokemon Go came out, I came up with the idea to gamify geocaching. Have you heard of geocaching?
No.
Okay, geocaching is pretty much you hide something, mark it on a GPS, and then other people go to find it. Literally, I'm sure where you live, there's probably geocaches. Maybe. I know there's a ton here in the United States. So I wanted to write an app that would hide something called geostashes. These are little plastic mustaches. And these would be a game that you could play with your friends. You hide these geostashes and see who can find the most of them. It's corny. I don't know if people would play it, but I really want to make it. I want to get into 3D printing. I think 3D printing is really, really cool. I've owned a couple of 3D printers and built one, but it wasn't very good. So I'd like to make better 3D printers. And I'd like to make an app. Here's some ideas for you guys. Seriously, make an app that can make a good game for hiding and finding things, because I think that's where Pokemon Go falls short. You can't hide Pokemons. So hiding and finding things as a game, and then write an app which can discreetly send like, "Hey, I'm trying to get out of this situation. Like, I need to call my mom, or I need my mom to call me, but I can't. You know, I gotta get away from something." Using the volume buttons on your phone to send discrete messages like that, so no one knows that you're sending out a help message, I think is kind of a fun idea. I haven't seen anything like it yet. So those are just some ideas, just kind of pet projects. Like I said, I've got a lot of them. I don't no mucho tiempo for this sort of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Boy, some people look tired.
Okay, yeah, we're almost done. Just one more question and then we're finished.
Yes.
Guys, don't you think he's looking at you? Like everybody here and then nobody-
If you could start over, what would you have done differently?
Yes, I would have done it again, but I would have done it faster. I made some major mistakes. Cost me a couple of years at least. I could have done this a couple of years ago, probably. It's taken me longer. So that's, yeah, I would have done it again, though. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Nate, for your time. We really appreciate all the information, very valuable information that you share with the students. And we appreciate your time and dedication for this.
Yeah.
All right, it was fun to have you here and nice talking to you.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You guys have been great. You're very, very smart students, and you have a great instructor. I'm telling you, he is great. Listen to him. I guess I should be pointing this way, right? I don't know. He's great. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later. It was a pleasure to have you. Thanks.
Okay.
Goodbye.
All right. See ya.
Bye.